Good evening, my children of the night. The shadows have gathered once again, and we find ourselves standing at the edge of a dark water. Tonight's story takes us to the murky swamps of North Carolina, where the Spanish moss hangs like tattered ghosts, and the secrets of the holy are buried deep within the mud. We are looking at the disturbing, heartbreaking, and maddening case of Mica Miller, a beautiful woman, a pastor's wife, found dead in a desolate park. The authorities called it a suicide, but the whispers in the wind and the voices of those who loved her scream a very different word. They scream, "Murder! Let us walk into the darkness together." April 27, 2024. Lumber River State Park is a place of quiet isolation, a place where the black water moves slowly, hiding everything beneath its surface. It was here, on a humid afternoon, that a fisherman made a gruesome discovery. In the water, lifeless and cold, lay Mica Miller. She was only 30 years old, beautiful, vibrant, a woman who sang in the church choir with the voice of an angel. But the scene was wrong. She had died from a gunshot wound to the head, almost immediately. The Robeson County Sheriff's Office closed the book. They labeled it a self-inflicted wound. Case closed. Nothing to see here. But my dear listeners, when you peel back the layers of Mica's life, you do not find a woman who simply wanted to die. You find a woman who is desperately, frantically trying to escape. To understand her death, we must look at the man who stood beside her in the light of God, Pastor John Paul Miller. He was the charismatic leader of the Solid Rock Church in Myrtle Beach, a man who commanded attention, a man who preached about righteousness. But behind the pulpit, behind the stained glass, lay a kingdom of control. Mica met John Paul when she was just a teenager. He was significantly older, married, a father. When his first marriage dissolved, Mica, the young girl from the youth group, eventually became his wife. From the outside, they were the golden couple of the church. But inside the parsonage, the walls were closing in. My investigation into the court documents and police reports reveals a terrifying pattern of coercive control. Mica wasn't just a wife, she was a possession. Family members claim she was isolated, tracked, monitored. When she tried to leave him, the holy man turned into a haunting specter. In the weeks leading up to her death, Mica's life became a living nightmare. She found razor blades hidden in her tires. She was followed by strangers. She told her family, and I quote, "If I end up with a bullet in my head, it was not me." Let those words sink into your marrow. It was not me. She explicitly warned the world. She filed for divorce. She filed no contact orders. She was fighting, clawing her way toward freedom. Does that sound like a woman planning her own end? Or does it sound like a woman who knew? She was being hunted. Let us look at the timeline of that fatal day. Surveillance footage captures Mica leaving her apartment. She looks calm. She goes to a pawn shop, and there, she purchases a firearm. Now, the skeptics will say, "See, she bought the gun. It is an open and shut case." But in the world of true crime, nothing is ever that simple. Why would a woman terrified of her husband buy a gun? Perhaps for protection. Perhaps because she knew he was coming. She drove to the state park, miles away from her home. And then came the call. At 2:54 p.m., Mica Miller dialed 911, but she didn't scream for help. She didn't cry about an attacker. She said, "I'm about to kill myself and I just want my family to know where to find me." And then She hung up. This call is the anchor of the police's theory. It is the piece of evidence they wave to dismiss the questions. But listen closer to the story. The family believes this call creates more shadows than light. Was she coerced? Was she forced to make that call with a gun pressed to her ribs? Or was she driven to such a depth of psychological torture, such a profound state of gaslighting and harassment, that her hand was forced by the invisible abuse of the man she once trusted? In many jurisdictions, this is called suicide by coercion. If you push someone toward the ledge, day after day, are you not responsible when they fall? But the most chilling behavior came from the grieving widower, less than 24 hours after his wife's body was found, while she was lying in a cold morgue. Pastor John Paul Miller stood on the stage of his church. He didn't look like a man broken by grief. He looked composed, even casual. He told his congregation, "My wife has passed away." And then, in a moment that sent shivers down the spine of the internet, he said it was self-induced. He announced the manner of her death before the autopsy was even released, before the family had fully processed the horror. He told the church not to talk about it, to keep moving forward. It was as if he was trying to wash away her memory along with the sins of the congregation. In the days that followed, strange details emerged like bones rising from the swamp. John Paul was seen with other women. He was filmed removing personal items from her apartment, and reports surfaced that he had allegedly groomed her, grooming her from the age of 14, molding her into the perfect, silent, obedient wife. The FBI has now stepped in. The Department of Justice is looking, because Mica Miller did not go quietly into that good night. She left a trail of breadcrumbs, videos, texts, journals. She documented the abuse. She documented the fear. She posted a video just weeks before, giving advice to those suffering from abuse. She spoke of light. She spoke of hope. Her death has ignited a firestorm. Millions of people, strangers on the internet, have become her army. They are demanding that the case be reopened as a homicide investigation. They are asking the question, can a pastor get away with murder? Or was the psychological torture so severe that he killed her spirit long before her body fell in that park? The autopsy showed the gunshot wound, but it didn't show the bruises on her soul. It didn't show the years of manipulation, the tracking devices on her car, the fear of being watched. Mica Miller wanted to live. She was making plans to move to Africa for missionary work. She had just bought a new car. She was cutting ties. Women who are planning to die rarely make plans to live so boldly. The mystery of Mica Miller is not just about a gun and a swamp. It is about the masks that powerful men wear. It is about how institutions protect their leaders while sacrificing their women. The Solid Rock Church stands silent now, but the voice of Mica Miller echoes louder than any sermon John Paul ever preached. The file may be officially closed by the local sheriff, but in the court of public opinion, the trial has just begun. And we, the watchers in the dark, will not look away until the truth is dredged from the bottom of that river. We must remember her warning. If I end up dead, it wasn't me. We hear you, Mica. If this story disturbed you, if you believe there is more to this case than a simple suicide, subscribe to my channel. Help me shine a light where they want to keep it dark. Until next time, my children, keep your doors locked, trust your instincts, and stay in the shadows.